have 5 minutes, and here it is. Now, an egg. Visualizing an egg, I have to see it in my mind first, unless I have one in front of me. And even yet, we're going to have an egg that is narrower at the top. And again, I want to visualize the motion and kind of begin to lay it down because it's almost like a circle, but it's wider at one end, narrower at the other. So I did one where it's narrower at the top. And notice how as I ghost my motion and then I lay down the line, I'm actually using both directions to try and capture that egg shape. And I'm going to do several of these. I'm going to do wider at the bottom, narrower at the top, but I also want to do wider at the top, narrower at the bottom. And I, again, notice that I can lay down line and lift as I ghost my motion. So this is how you want to develop the basic foundation of your sketches. And what we do from here is you want to have these lines as light as possible, and little by little, as you confirm that you're somewhere near where you want to be visualized, you begin to make those lines a little bit darker and more confident. So we're going to do a variety of them. A little bit of, maybe I'm going to do one that's at an angle. So the axis would be this way. And then I'm going to have it kind of, almost kind of laying on its side here. And this is crucial for you guys to get comfortable with the way you handle your tool. And I always make this joke. When I have a hammer, we grab the hammer like this, and then we hammer for a reason. We wouldn't grab a hammer like this and try to hammer like that because it wouldn't work as well. So a spoon, same thing. You could always grab a spoon like you would grab a hammer. But then again, the things you would have to do to manipulate, it wouldn't be efficient. So with a pencil, testing which is the most efficient way, and maybe we never really even thought about it. It takes a little bit of practice. And although this may seem, for some of you, too easy, and maybe for some a little too difficult, you could be doing this 5 minutes a day, every day, and I guarantee you, within less than a week, in 3 days, you will be amazed at the quality of lines, at the control over your tool. Now, some of these, I'm going to think about eggs, I'm going to think about chicken eggs, but I'm also going to think about maybe ostrich or smaller birds. So you can also vary the sizes and just as well the shape of it a little. So I'm going to do an egg that needs to be wider at one end. That's the key. Wider at one end, narrower at the other, but much longer. So some might say that this be more like a reptile egg. And do the same somewhere over here, but wider at the top, narrower at the bottom. And see, for me, coming here near the edge of the paper, sometimes the way my grip touches the edge, I got to get used to it. So discovering all these things, maybe grabbing the pencil a little bit longer and not running my hand right over the paper, will make that easier. There we go. All right, 30 seconds. Now, the idea would be to fill up this entire page, and as we get smaller and smaller spaces here, I could just fill up the entire thing. And all of these small areas, because it does require tiny little bit of a different approach when you deal with bigger, medium, or smaller sizes. Your motions, your pressure, everything changes just a little bit. Now notice that because we're using this grip, we're not using the absolute tip of the pencil every single time. We're using a little bit of the side. So it allows me to get a little bit of wider gesture, wider lines, and at the same time, I can make them as thin as a hair. So that's another advantage. I could go from here to here with just one tiny bit of a switch in the angle. Perfect.